Lads, lasses, and the rest of the masses, welcome back to another episode of The Grayscale, the series in which I take 7 points and put them into these neatly organised boxes, and we weigh them up on the scale from good, medium, and bad. And then at the end, of course, you guys can vote for your great, or your player of the match. And this game was kind of an interesting one. Obviously, pre-season friendly against Bayer Leverkusen. Wasn't going to be expected to be too competitive in that regard, but we did get to see some good football from Chelsea and some, good cameos from certain players, and that's who we're going to kind of talk about today. Now, the first player I'm going to be putting in here is a player that I don't usually put in the good box, and I don't think I ever have. Maybe this might actually be the first time, probably the second time, I would imagine, and that's for our goalkeeper of the day, Philip Jorgensen. Now, Philip usually isn't too imposing of a goalkeeper, if I'm kind of right in saying that, to be honest. He doesn't ever seem like a keeper that has, the kind of that stature and that kind of feeling of like a goalkeeper that commands his box. But in this game specifically, he was very, very good at doing this, coming out claiming crosses, making saves when he needed to, which wasn't very often, but he was keeping his concentration for those moments. Obviously, the save from the free kick was a very, very good one from Grimaldo's free kick. Very, very good save from him. And it's good to see that our replacement keeper, our backup keeper, that we're probably going to have to rely on quite a lot this season, considering we're in a lot of competitions, is up to the task. Because last season, he really didn't seem like he was much of a kind of, good replacement. He didn't seem as kind of solid as we would expect him to be. So hopefully he can keep that up for the cup competitions and possibly Champions League group stage games if he has to play during those. But yeah, good work from Philip today. And yeah, we'll move on to the next point. The next point is going to be for Joao Pedro, our striker. Now, he gets a goal contribution. I usually say whenever you get a goal contribution, you get into this box. Obviously, he gets a goal. He comes off of the bench to get a goal. And mainly he's kind of in here because in comparison to the other striker that we had on the pitch in this game, he did much better. And we'll talk about that player in a little bit here. However, Pedro, again, very neat, tidy finish, and in general, his link-up play when he came on the pitch was very, very good. He was playing in a multitude of different positions, not only starting from that striker position, but he actually gets his goal from the 10 position when we kind of move into a different formation with Pedro Neto going further forward. But yeah, Pedro, of course, could drift to the right side, and he was doing that very well, linking up with some of the new boys, Genesis Antwi, and who was on the right, Saki, who was on the right as well. And in general, yeah, just a really, really good bench striker's performance. It's all you can really ask for a striker that's on the bench, is to come off of the bench and change the game, and that's exactly what he did. Came off the bench, was very, very good in the interplay, and then gets his goal. So he goes into the good box too. Now, I briefly mentioned him there, so let's move on to our third point. It's going to be the first and only thing that's not in the good box today. It's going to be a medium for Liam Delap. I'm not going to be too harsh on him, that like others are being. Seen a lot of people talking about him missing 2 big chances and, oh, we can't be having our strikers doing that. The 2 big chances that he missed are half chances at that. So they're not easy chances to finish. That's not the reason why I've put him in here. The reason why I've put him in here is that on a day where you are having a kind of poor game in terms of in front of goal, I would have really liked to see him get himself involved a little bit more in terms of dropping deeper and trying to get on the ball and make things happen. He really wasn't doing that today, and we've seen him do it in the past. In the Club World Cup, we've seen him do this. He wasn't doing it at all today. He was kind of, constantly making the runs in behind and not really offering much else, especially when those balls for him over the top weren't coming. He wasn't really adjusting the way he was playing. He was kind of just waiting for the ball to come to him, and admittedly, to his credit, he wasn't really getting the service that he probably should have been getting. We should have been playing it to him a bit more. But yeah, just kind of disappointing for him. Obviously, he's the lowest rated player in the side as well. I'm not going to be nagging on him too much and saying that he's put in a bad performance, because it wasn't a bad performance, but it wasn't necessarily a good performance either. So medium is fair for him, I think. Next, we're going to talk about a group of players, but I'm going to be kind of, using these two specifically as kind of, a mark for them. I'm going to be talking about Cobham and the common players that we use today. First of all, obviously, Achempong and George is going to be in here for the kind of the visual part of this, but this is also including Genesis Antwi, Samuel Raksaki, all of the common players that played today, because they really put in a good show. Like, genuinely, they're really good, put in a good kind of reliable showing against a really game side. The Bayer Leverkusen side was not anything to sniff at, and again they're well into their pre-season, so it's not like they're us and they're on their first game and they were taking it easy on us or anything. They were playing really well at times. Chelsea were just playing better, and none of these guys looked out of place. None of them looked out of place when they came on. Achampong playing in that centre back role was absolutely phenomenal. I believe he completed 76 out of 76 passes, so 100% passing accuracy, and it wasn't like he was just playing it safe and playing it sideways and backwards. He was trying to play it forward through the lines at times, which is what you really want from that central centre-back. In general, when he was playing on the kind of left of the three, when Chalobah came off, Chalobah's kind of also included in this as well, by the way. I think he played pretty well. But when he moved to the left-hand side, when Chalobah came off, he seemed very comfortable there on his weaker foot. Obviously, eventually he's replaced by Anselmino, who also plays pretty well there, I would say. But yeah, good performance from Josh. Defensively solid as well. There was that one moment where he accidentally slips on the ball and gives a chance away, but I'm not going to discredit him for that. Mistakes happen like that. That's completely out of his control, really. As for George, I kind of had a weird kind of feeling about George going into the game, and at the time when I was doing my watch along, I was a bit kind of, I didn't really know where I was going to be putting him when it came to this video at the time. But now I kind of mulled over his performance. I'm going to be putting him in good. I think that he was trying really, really hard. I think that's the first thing I can say is he was really, really trying hard to get into the manager's good books and to kind of say to Maresca, hey, look, I am a left-wing option. Like, you don't need to, you don't with all this rumours going around of obviously us probably getting Garnacho and getting Xavi Simons who can play there. He was really trying to put a mark down and say, no, I can be that left winger if you need me to be. Because he was, again, taking on his man, trying to make things happen. Some of the passing he was doing today in terms of his creative passing to play the balls into the box or play it in behind for Cucurella as he was going in, very, very good from him. And yeah, I feel like he's really matured in that way. And though I've already kind of stated my doubts about him being the rotational option, because in comparison to someone like Joshua Champong, I just do not think that he's as far along in his development. He's definitely put out a case yesterday to say, hey, you can rely on me, I'm going to try as hard as... And even though some of the things he tried didn't really work out, obviously he wasn't always getting past people, or, he was maybe forcing the shots at times when he didn't really need to. I think that's a good sign. If your wingers are taking shots and are being confident and, trying to make things happen, that's all you can really ask for them. So, yeah, great work from George as well. But again, this also includes, as I said, Genesis Antwi, Samuel Raksaki. I think Genesis Antwi I'm going to give a specific kind of mention to, even though I haven't actually put him in here, because of the kind of, I want to call it an assist, but it's kind of a pre-assist. I'm not really sure who gets the final touch before it goes to Joao Pedro, but his kind of run down the right-hand side to get past Grimaldo, I think it is at the time. It might actually be a substitute. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But he gets right to the byline, cuts it across, and he doesn't just phase it across the goal where it's dangerous and the goalkeeper can easily claim it or the centre backs can clear it. He cuts it back to the space and gets it to. I'm not sure if Pedro Neto gets a touch on it. I can't tell from the replay, but I think Pedro Neto gets a tiny little bit of a flick, and then it goes to Pedro, and Pedro scores. So yeah, good from Genesis Antwi. We don't get to see him very often. Hopefully in the cup games and stuff, we get to see him a little bit more. As same with Samuel Raksaki. Obviously, Samuel Raksaki was really, really good last season in that Astana game especially. So I would like to see a bit more from him if he can play at times. But yeah, this is just for Cobham. Very, very good showing from Cobham. What a youth system that we have. Next up is going to be for a player that's one of the new signings, but someone that we've already seen previously, and it's going to be for Dario Essugo. Now, Dario Essugo is a player that when he came in, we were very much thinking, hey, he can be a Moises Caicedo kind of rotational player, right? He's the player that comes in when Caicedo's not playing, and then he played a few games in the Global Cup, and he didn't seem like he was fully up to speed yet, and that's obviously reasonable considering it was like his first few games for the club, and he wasn't really getting that many minutes to kind of show what he can do. In this game, he got a lot more minutes to show what he can do. And I think the highest compliment that I can give him in terms of his performance was that he came on for Moises Caicedo, and it didn't feel like Moises Caicedo came off the pitch. It didn't feel like that. A lot of the time when we have that kind of substitute and Caicedo has to come off, or if someone has to come off like that, for example, in previous years when we've had like N'Golo Conte in that Makalele position, right? It always felt like when that player goes off, it was like, oh, now we're going to struggle. Now, Essugo came on, it didn't feel like we were going to struggle at all. He was really, really good in this game, and I think the thing which I really want to give him credit for, obviously he's supposed to be this defensive midfielder, trying to get into his duels and things like that. The thing which I want to give him credit for is the passing. One thing that we kind of worried about when we saw him in the Club World Cup is that his passing wouldn't be up to scratch. Very, very good passing from him. Again, I think 95% passing accuracy from him in the middle. A lot of that kind of being first time passes as he's having to move it on under pressure. He seemed very, very comfortable in the duel, and yeah, again, very solid. As I said, the highest compliment I can pay him is that it didn't feel like Caicedo came off the pitch. We just felt like we were continuing to play how we were. So great from Dario, and again, hopefully that really puts him in the plans of, okay, he's now the rotational option. So for those cup games or, you know, the group stages of the UCL or what have you, he can come in instead of us having to have Caicedo on the pitch at all times. Now, the penultimate point I'm going to be putting into the good box is for our two left-sided new signings, and that's Jorel Hato and Jamie Gittins. Now, again, it feels kind of silly to be just shoving all the new signings in here, but I do think that they both had very good kind of performances in their own right. Hato, I think, felt very, very comfortable when he was in that kind of left back role, but the thing which I want to give him credit for is the fact that I wasn't expecting him to be doing the inverting thing that we kind of see from Cucurella. I thought that would be a little bit too complicated for him at the moment because he hasn't had that many training sessions, but no, to his credit, Enzo Maresca tasked him with doing that and inverting into that left centre mid kind of position, and he was very comfortable there. Defensively, I felt that he was very, very good. There's that one duel that really sticks out in my mind where he completely shepherds out the player and passes it forward and gets us on a counter-attack. Very good from him defensively. As for Jamie Gittins, it's an absolute breath of fresh air to have a player on the left wing that is really, really good at dribbling. The close control that he has and the ability to not just kind of knock it past people and then maneuver himself to get into positions for either cutbacks or shots is something that we have not had on that left-hand side since Eden Hazard left, let's say. It's something we haven't really seen for a long time, and it felt like every time he got the ball that something was going to happen, right? It felt like we got the ball out to him in space and he could really take advantage of the 1v1s that our system creates, and that's exactly what we've needed in that position for so long. And now that we've got a player that can really do that on his birthday as well, by the way, so happy birthday to him for a belated birthday for him yesterday. But yeah, no, we finally got a player that can actually, you know, take on his man, and even when he's being doubled up on like he was in this game at times, can get past those one or two players, pull it back for another player to have a shot, and we got really, really close from that. And he was kind of robbed of an assist in truth from I can't remember who took the shot in the end. I think it might have been Hato. It might have been I think it was Estevao actually. I think Estevao drags his shot slightly to the right from that because he'd moved into that central 10 position at the time. But yeah, good from Gittins, and hopefully we get to see him in the AC Milan game too. I hope he starts that game to show kind of a bit more of what we can expect from him. That would be very good. Now, the final player that's going into the good box, and I've saved the best till last because we expected him to do well. I don't think any of us expected him to start as quickly as he did, and it's for the new boy, Steve Estevao. Steve, I will just call him Steve. No, Estevao, again, we had a lot of expectation on him. We've been waiting for this moment for his debut in a Chelsea shirt for 2 years now. I said in my live watch along before the game, let's just dampen our expectations. This is a teenager coming in from a very, very weak league in the Brazilian league. He's not always going to hit the ground running. You know, he might have some teething issues. No, he said to screw it with that. I'm the star, and decided, you know what, I'm taking the game by the scruff of the neck, and we're winning this game, because it felt like that in the first half. It really felt like on the right wing again, like Jamie Gittins on the offside when he came on, when he was getting into those one-on-one scenarios. He was up against Grimaldo, right? Grimaldo is not a bad player. Like, he's a very, very good, very capable, very experienced left back, and he made him at times look like a child. He genuinely was dragging him left and right, not letting him have a kind of ounce of kind of space to breathe, getting past him constantly, obviously getting his shots off, trying to put the ball back, and eventually he does get his goal from a little bit less of a, you know, typical thing that we'd expect from a winger. Obviously, it's a little bit of a rebound. It comes off the post. Palmer takes a shot, comes off the crossbar, and he taps it in. But the thing which I want to talk about is the actual finish that he does, because it's very, very dissimilar to what we've had on that right wing in the past. And I'm not just going to be ragging on ex-players that are now moved on or anything, but it always felt like we kind of always had these moments in games where that type of scenario would happen and it would fall to the back post for a player and they'd put it into the side netting or sky it or, you know, just completely drag the shot. This was such a calm, cultured finish, and it never felt like when he took the strike, I think the entire time when he's seeing that ball come to him, he knows that he's scoring the goal. He obviously wheels away in celebration, kisses the badge, something we love to see. He's already in love with the club. We're already in love with him. And for my money, he was clearly player of the match. I think he gets voted officially player of the match as well. Clearly player of the match. Great kind of work from him. And again, even when he was moved into a position that doesn't favour him as much in that central role, he still looked pretty comfortable, and again, nearly got a goal from there as well if he didn't drag it wide. So it's good to see his versatility as well. Again, hopefully, I'm really hoping for the AC Milan game we play a bit more of a stronger team, and we get to see Estevao on the right-hand side with Jamie Gittins, because I think that with obviously Joao Pedro up top, is a really dangerous prospect for a lot of teams. And come Crystal Palace in the next week or so, I think we're going to get some really, really kind of good attacking moves through that team. Hopefully we can get a good result there as well. But yeah, I'll leave it to you guys to vote for your great in the comments down below. But of course, I am going to be putting mine as Estevao. He goes straight into the great, my player of the match, and hopefully the player of the match for many, many matches to come. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave it a like. It really helps out the channel and me. And for more videos like this and content on Chelsea, don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever. And remember, football can be as simple as black and white.
Something ain't right, I'm drowning in the ocean. I'm still alive, but I feel the fall in motion. I lost the fight and now I'm finally floating, but I still try to hide my emotion. Who am I in pieces? I've been broken. It's black and white, but my eyes are finally